All right, guys, remember what we're looking for. And don't trust anyone.
Raya is the main and eponymous character in the new Disney movie Raya and the Last Dragon. She's considered to be a Disney princess, but unlike a lot of other Disney princesses, she actually has substance and isn't full of fluff.
Have you ever done like a group project, but there's like that one kid who didn't pitch in as much, but still ended up with the same grade?
Even though the movie is a new release, it's already gathering a huge fan base among children and adults alike. Raya is a strong character that's fun and interesting to watch. The story of a young princess who leaves her home and embarks on a long and difficult journey to save her land and people.
My name is Raya. Our lands have been at war for as long as we can remember. Our people never see eye to eye.
May sound similar to the plot of the 2016 Disney movie Moana, but we promise you, that is where the similarities end. If you've seen the movie, we can bet that there are some things that you probably missed, and we'll talk about them in this video. If you haven't seen the movie, and you're just on the lookout for some background information before you watch it, then you're in the right place. However, there are some spoilers here and there, so you should be careful. We will give out spoiler alerts, so you should watch out for those. Without much ado, let's get to it. It is no secret to movie lovers that producing a movie takes quite a long time. Animated movies and movies with computer-generated imagery are notorious for being even more tedious to make. So how long did it take to produce Raya? It took 3 long years. 3 years is a long time to stay committed to a project. If we had to spend that long on one project, we would lose our minds for sure.
The world's broken. You can't trust anyone.
But hey, they get paid the big bucks, so that has to make up for them slowly losing their minds, we guess.
I wish to join this fellowship of kickery.
The production also took longer because of the COVID-19 pandemic and the restrictions that came with it, which made shooting more complicated. It's kinda hard to shoot a movie when everybody is stuck indoors. Like a lot of other things, COVID wasn't considerate of movie shooting schedules, that's for sure. If there's one thing that we like about Raya, it's that the girl can fight. She's one of the few Disney princesses who can actually fight. Her fighting capabilities in the film are nothing short of remarkable. She trains from an early age and masters combat to protect the Dragon Gem. Her most prominent style of fighting is based on Kali, which is the martial art of the Philippines. Kali is often referred to as stick fighting because it utilizes bamboo sticks as both offensive and defensive weapons. Students of the art of Kali are required to master fighting with weapons before graduating to hand-to-hand combat. Her other fighting styles were inspired by pencak silat, which originates from Malaysia and Indonesia. Her distinctive sword was inspired by the keris, which is a blade that is revered in Southeast Asian countries, including Indonesia, Thailand, the Philippines, and Malaysia. We have to give Disney some kudos for sticking to the South Asian theme throughout the movies. This means that Raya can take on all the bad guys with or without a weapon. Sounds like she's a real badass princess.
Impressive. We could use someone like you.
She's part of one of the most exclusive clubs in the world. And when we say the most exclusive clubs, we are referring to the Disney Princess Club. Disney princesses are some of the most popular royalty there is, and some would say that they are even more popular than the British royal family. Well, Raya is part of this super exclusive club and is the 13th princess to be included in the very short list of Disney princesses. She is the first new princess to be introduced after Moana in 2016. Speaking of Moana, Raya has something in common with the Polynesian princess. They are both regarded as Disney princesses, even though their fathers are chiefs and not kings. We guess that counts somehow.
I don't know.
Also, Raya holds the honor of being the first Southeast Asian princess in the Disney canon. Like we said earlier, Raya was trained from childhood to be a fighter. You know, instead of doing the typical Disney princess stuff like lying around and looking pretty while singing about how much she cannot wait to meet their Prince Charming, she was doing something useful. Her father, who was the chief of Kumandra, made sure she was trained from childhood because she was supposed to become a guardian of the Dragon Gem, which other clans badly wanted to get their hands on. Raya's job was to guard the gem. However, things didn't exactly work out as she and her father expected. The world shifted to something new, and her destiny changed entirely. Her training wasn't useless because it prepared her for the journey of independence that she took to save her people.
My sword here says we're not.
Even though things didn't quite work out as she planned, she still took it like a champ and made efforts to save her people. When life gives you lemons, you make lemonade.
Gem? Who said anything about gems? We have no interest in gems. Okay, yeah, I can see how that makes me look like a liar.
Actually, I think it was the lying that makes you look like a liar.
Throughout the years, Disney has put extra efforts into not talking about religion in their movies. Most Disney movies remain neutral about the topic of religion, and we can't blame them. In the world we live in today, religion can spark controversy like nothing else, so most companies try to stay away from the topic entirely, because controversies often prove to be fatal to their companies. So in Raya and the Last Dragon, religion is not explicitly spoken to, but it is heavily implied that she and her people worship the dragons. Of course, Disney doesn't come all out and say, these people worship the dragons, but some hints are dropped here and there that prove this is a logical assumption. First, the story tells us that Kumandra was an idyllic world that was watched over by benevolent magic creatures who served as the source of water and rain, by extension, all life in Kumandra. If this is not a nod towards religion, then we don't know what else it can be. Next, let's look at how Raya and her people treated the dragons. Whenever they are in the presence of the dragons, they bow and raise their hands to their forehead in a reverent way, much like you would do in the presence of a being that you worship. Spoiler alert. If you don't want to hear the spoiler, you should go ahead and cover your ears for the next 15 seconds. Sisu's death acts as the catalyst to restore the world to its idyllic atmosphere. Not only did she save the world 500 years before, but she also saved it now and gave up her life in the process. Well, the dragons did save the people of Kumandra, so we can't blame them for worshipping the dragons. Also, a little bit of trivia about the movie. All the clans of Kumandra are named after different parts of dragons, which are fang, heart, spine, talon, and tail. Raya is from the fantasy world of Kumandra, which is lush and has a lot of greenery. You know because Disney, as usual, decided that a fantasy world is more interesting than anything in the real world. Disney is no stranger to creating a fantasy world. In fact, most Disney movies are set in a fantasy world, except for a few like Mulan. Most Disney princess movies are set in Fantasyland, including Moana. But hey, a lot of plots in the movies wouldn't make sense if they were set in the real world, so we can give them a pass for this one. As with a lot of their fantasy worlds, they did base Kumandra on some real-life cultures. Kumandra is basically one big potpourri of Southeast Asian cultures.
Nation protected by angry assassins and their even angrier cats. Now, to restore peace, I must find the last dragon.
You know the typical Disney princess stereotype, right? A pretty princess who has lived her entire life sheltered and is frankly a little bit spoiled, suddenly finds herself in the thick of a problem. Rather than suck it up and deal with it as most people would, she bursts into tears and flings herself against the nearest surface that she can find and proceeds to sob in a woe-is-me manner, and then waits for her Prince Charming to come and save her from the problem that she could have fixed herself if only she stopped crying for 5 minutes. Yes, that is a typical Disney princess stereotype. It is with a sense of pure delight that we announce to you that Raya breaks free of this unrealistic stereotype. Rather than cry and hurl herself against a fountain when her village is threatened, Raya puts on her big girl pants and thinks, I'll solve this problem once and for all, and I'll do it without Prince Charming. She then bravely sets out to save her village. Sorry, Prince Charming, you're not needed here.
You and the dragon are coming with me.
My sword here says we're not.
She joins other Disney princesses like Mulan and Moana to do what needs to be done without waiting for a man to come around and save them. Although, Raya still conforms to Disney's stereotype of having an animal sidekick. Raya's sidekick is named Tuk Tuk, and nobody is exactly sure what he is supposed to be.
Have you ever done like a group project, but there's like that one kid who didn't pitch in as much, but still ended up with the same grade?
We're due.
What we do know is that Disney does not appear to be willing to let go of their animal sidekick characters anytime soon. Raya is a breath of fresh air and a relief from the typical Disney princess movies. She's nothing short of an iconic character and a pretty impressive Disney princess. In fact, we don't think that we would be out of line to rank her up there along with Disney greats like Pocahontas and Mulan. While she doesn't fit into the Disney princess stereotype, this just makes her stand out and become an even more remarkable princess. It's not every day that you see a princess who can take on multiple bad guys at the same time. We bet that over time, she will become one of the most liked Disney princesses.
Did you just hit me with the shrimp tail?
Do you love Raya as much as we do? Which facts were you surprised to learn? Which ones did we leave out? Let us know in the comments. Take a look at this recent clip by Director's Choice, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications.